What's going on, everybody? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Let's give it just a second for everybody else to get piled in. Don't forget, guys, click that like button if you haven't. Let's get the stream started off strong. That is what really helps with the algorithm to get some more people in, so that would be amazing. Thank you, guys. HD, what's going on? Welcome back to the stream. Elbosh, what's going on? How you doing? Fundalia and Alex, what's up? Hope you guys are doing good. Thank you so much for your support tonight. Hope you guys are having a good evening so far. And I'm sure a lot of you have some questions right now about what's going on here in the crypto market. Please bear with me just a moment. I just realized my stream was not properly fixed, so let's fix it. All right, do that. Do this. What's in that? Anyway, guys, how's your evening going so far? Let me know in the comment section right now if you've got any questions, any concerns. As you can see by the title, this sell-off is a little drastic, but it is not necessarily all bad. And so that's what I want to talk about. Maybe help to alleviate some panic and get everybody in the right mindset to really look at it for what it is. Now, that's not to say that it's good, bad, and it could actually be good, right? It could be good. I'm not saying it's good, but let's just talk about why I'm even saying any of that. Right. And again, just give me 1 second here. We're almost fixed. All right, let's see if this fixes it. Ah, there we go. All right. A few graphics weren't shown there. Anyway. HD says, I haven't joined a stream in like 2 months because now I exclusively invest in ETFs. Wow. And you said my voice comes so far. Thank you, HD, man. You're one of the OGs. I haven't seen you in a while. It is good to see you, though, for sure. But it's cool. It's cool to hear that you found your own path, and hopefully that's going well. ETFs are definitely a big change compared to investing in crypto. It's like the complete opposite. Crypto is extremely volatile, high percentage gain chances, and really high percentage loss chances. But then you go to an ETF, and that is like 4% a year, and that's it. Like, there's not many ups or downs. It is all pretty predictable. But I understand. Trust me. I come from the stock market, and I know it's a little more stable over there sometimes, especially if you go the ETF route. Usually those are not very volatile. So glad you, if you've been there for 2 months, obviously you're liking it. So hopefully everything's going good. You're making some money and protecting your investment. I'm doing pretty good, Elbosh. Thank you. And Alex. Travis says, finally, I'm catching one live. Awesome. Yeah, man. Heard you couldn't make the earlier stream, so that is why we are going live later this evening. So hopefully it's a good time for everybody. Don't forget, if you have not already, please consider clicking that like button. That will help YouTube send out the rest of these notifications and all that good stuff. YouTube's been shadow banning me to an extent. What's going on, Skydive? How are you doing? It has been a while indeed. Let's see. I won't take too much of your time, guys. I'm just trying to make sure everybody's in here before I say it, so I don't have to repeat too much. That's never fun for anybody. If you guys want some different music, let me know. Usually stick to lo-fi, but we can change it up. This is actually this playlist here is from Coinbase. They posted on Twitter earlier today. Here's some like lo-fi music to trade to, and this is the playlist. How random is that? You can see there, right there on the left, this is Coinbase's YouTube account, and it's 30 minutes of lo-fi tracks. It says lo-fi tracks to trade crypto to. How weird is that? but cool. I'll take it. I'll take some nice background music. It'll demonetize the stream, sure, but it's fine. All right. Anybody got any questions before I just go ranting on my own? It's the evening. Let's turn the lights down just a bit. All right. Not that much, though. Yeah, I can never catch you live anymore. Yeah, guys, I'm probably going to start doing some later evening streams. I think that's when we usually got most people. I know people have to work, including myself, have to work, maybe take care of kids as well. It could be really tricky to pop in for a 5 o'clock stream. I've got people in different time zones. That's why I used to do streams like at this time every single evening. And then some people, they live in different countries and whatnot, so I tried to move it earlier. But I'm going to have to be a little more flexible with that because then I don't want to leave people out. So anyway, I'll stop ranting. What I just want to talk about here is what's going on, Doge Scotland? Good to see you. What I want to talk about here is the situation that we're in with cryptocurrency. As you can see, just taking a look at the price action right here, and I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see a little better. We are having quite the sell-off moment, all right? We're right now down to under 53,000. Now, if you look at this, we're looking at this from a daily time frame perspective, by the way. So each one of these candles represents a day. As you can see, just at the start of the third, at the start of today, we were sitting right up here at about 57,000, and we got this massive sell-off candle and the start of another one right here, and we're heading towards the fourth here. But at the start of the third candle, December 3rd's candle right here, right at about 58,000, and now we're sitting at 52,900. So that's actually a massive sell-off. That is over 10% in less than a day. And so I'm sure a lot of you have concerns. What's going on? I thought we were supposed to be up right now. I thought we were supposed to be near 100,000, maybe stock to flow, floor model, technical analysis, or just listening to other people kind of led you to that decision or that mindset, and now you're confused and lost and maybe a bit worried. Well, good, you're in the right place. So let me just say that don't panic. There's a couple different angles and perspectives that you should be looking at this from, and they don't all indicate that down is the direction. In fact, there's still a couple things that indicate that we could still be going up, and this is one of the few final tests of support before we head into another area. So what I'm going to do is just continue to keep the chart clean, but show you guys some things from some different perspectives so you can really see what's going on here. So the first thing that I want to highlight is this green line that's already here. This is the support right at 53,000. 53,000 is a pretty key level because let's just delete this line. If you take a look at some of these candles, you'll start to notice the bottoms of some of these moves. A lot of these moves stopped right at 53,000. So right here, for example, this candle, the bottom of this, 53.3 thousand. The bottom here, 53.2 and a half. So basically 53.3. And right here as well, still in the 53,000s. You move over to the left, this here, the top, so the resistance was about 53,000 flat. And you move over even more, going back into February, March, April, and you look at all of this activity, the bounce here, the bounce here, here, and you put a line there, and what's the average? 53,000. So 53,000 is actually a strong level of support, in an area of support even, because if you just loosen that up a little bit and look around it, you'll also see a little bit more activity. So yeah, the tip of this candle is 53, but then right here is about 52.7. And then if we look over here, yes, those wicks are right here at about 53.2. But then if you look at some of this other activity, you've got a wick here at 52.9, a wick here also at 52.9, And then you've got even more activity, wick here, here, and here as well, the bodies of the candle. And this is at 52 and 52.4, 52.5. All right, so I'm just trying to remember those numbers as I'm going along, and I'll map them out in a second. I just don't want to clutter the chart quite yet. On top of that, let's just say you don't feel comfortable with those numbers. Then you've got support right here at 50,000 flat. You've got support here, support, a little bit of activity here. We used it as resistance here, then broke above it, then found support at 50,000 again. The bodies of these candles is right about 50,000 right here. Resistance of the candles right here at about 50,000. And you can even see right here, resistance at 50,000. And then once we broke above 50,000 right here, that's when candles got big. So obviously, under 53,000, there's a couple levels we can pretty quickly identify. And again, that's like 52.7, 52.4, and 52, and then 50 flat. A big resistance or support being the 52 flat level, which I'll map out now. Because not only was there price activity there, it's also one of the major numbers when we're talking about thousands, multiples of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then also, if you're dividing 100,000, a big whole number, by 4, you've got 25, 50, 75. So for those, and those are all mental numbers. And then it's also if a multiple of 5, a multiple of 2. So that's just usually the way that people think. Whenever we pass a price, whether that's up or down, they start looking to like the next big number. Like maybe it'll come down to this. The lowest will probably go, not lower than 40, not lower than 45. They usually look at like big major numbers. So that's part of the mental psychology of trading. And I'm sure a lot of you have understood that by now, that usually if people don't have anywhere else to look, they'll start to look to major numbers and try to make sense of that. Like Dogecoin to $1, for example, Dogecoin to 50 cents. Once we hit past Dogecoin to $1, talks are going to be Doge to $5 and $10. That's just the way it works. Big numbers. So there's that. So what I'm saying, long story short, is though we passed one of the major levels of support at 53, and that's not necessarily great news, and maybe some people are panicking because of that. Though we passed it, there are still other levels of support here to consider, 1. And 2, we are still lingering around that price. With this line drawn right here, right at about 53,000 even. I can't really see that. There it is. Okay, 53,054 bucks. That's close enough. What you can see is that the first time we broke below 53,000, and thank you guys for those likes. I really appreciate it. The first time that we broke below 53,000, we did sell off pretty hard, but we recovered pretty hard, and then we ended up closing. This red candle closed above the strong 53,000 support level. Everybody started to get a little more bullish, and then this next candle started, and now we're back below it. But this candle is not going to close until sometime tomorrow. We're on the daily time frame. That means there is still time over the next 12 hours or so for us to for people to buy up some Bitcoin at this dip. And if that happens, we'll get another wick with the body of the candle closing above the support line, which is going to indicate to traders and shorter term investors that we are potentially still bullish because we're still holding at support despite all the selling pressure. And that will encourage people that are waiting on the sidelines, waiting for a good dip buy opportunity to potentially start to scale in or all in or whatever they want to do. If they want to feel like this is the bottom, it'll inspire some confidence to the bulls. And that's what we want if we really want the price to go up. All right, so this is not all bad. In fact, as the title says, good news, potentially. Because if we can close above this 53K line and hold there, and the next candle isn't also red and starting to look really bad, if it's green, that'll start to make people feel confident that we are bouncing instead, and this could turn into a big slingshot move where now all the activity starts to reverse, and we start heading back to the top side instead, and this is the absolute bottom. So this could really be the dip buy spot. Now, like I said, let's just imagine a scenario where tomorrow comes and we're still sitting here at 52 or 51K. The strong level of support, the strongest level of support, just based off what we looked at. Looking horizontally, we saw previous price action at 50K, and we know 50K is also a mental level. So there's 2 reasons that it's support. Double the strength. Now here's the third reason. If you are on the daily time frame and you flip on your 200 EMA indicator, you can also see that provides support right at 50,000, 50,100. So now we have 3x the strength of support there, right at 50,000. That should inspire some more confidence that even if for some reason this does not hold up and we sell off just a little bit more, we should for certain be stopping at 50,000 unless whales manipulate or have been over leveraged and it's really bad news, and then everybody just dumps really fast, starts triggering stop losses, starts liquidating leveraged people, and then we get a massive sell-off. Usually when that happens, though, there is a equal bounce in the other direction, so I'm still not super bearish in that scenario, but I'm just saying 50,000 is really looking like the absolute bottom short term. Now I'm going to re-hide that indicator. On top of that, we were talking about the potential, this was on Wednesday, on our stream Wednesday, potential bullish signs here from a technical analysis perspective. What I also said was, beware, if there's any kind of FUD spread, these indicators are a little weak, the patterns aren't super clean, so it's not going to take much for those to fail, but it looked pretty good. And sure enough, we did have some bad news, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we had a bit of a bullish flag forming here, and then on the 4-hour time frame, if you zoom out, you could see a bit of an inverse head and shoulders formation. But then as this was looking pretty nice, all we needed was the bounce back up to here, but instead we suffered this morning from a sell-off. Now let me just share some of the information that I received that could point towards why a sell-off happened. And let me see. Actually, I retweeted it, so let's just find it that way. So, here's one thing. 7 hours ago, well, this was now... Yeah, okay. 7 hours ago, there was the sharing of more information. More info from Evergrande. Evergrande says they cannot make good on their financial obligations and extreme caution is necessary with their securities. All right. And that was the quote from Mr. Whale, who was notoriously bearish. So let me not just read his comment verbatim. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual document that they published. And this is where that information comes from. So what they said here, inside information. Since September 2021, the group has been diligently reviewing its capital structure and liquidity condition with the help of its financial and legal advisors, evaluating all their options and whatnot. It says, in light of the current liquidity status of the group, there is no guarantee that the group will have sufficient funds to continue to perform its financial obligations. The group has taken a comprehensive look, assessing all their financial conditions, considering the interests of stakeholders and everybody else involved. And they are trying their best. They're trying to make plans to, they're restructuring plans to help take care of their debt, or at least benefit their stakeholders to the best of their ability. Here's what it says. As of the date of this announcement, the company received a demand to perform its obligations under a guarantee in the amount of approximately $260 million. In the event that the group is unable to meet its guarantee obligations or other financial obligations, it may lead to creditors demanding acceleration of repayment, which would not be good because obviously they're not going to have the money to do so. And then what it says in bold here, the last sentence, shareholders of the company and other investors are reminded to exercise caution when dealing in the securities of the company. All right, and that is a statement directly from Evergrande that we received today. You can see here it's titled, it's from Hong Kong, December the 3rd of 2021. So, the thing is, if China wasn't spreading enough FUD, and if people already didn't believe it for themselves, now we've got a statement coming directly from the company that they are in a situation that is potentially risky, where they may not still, at this point, despite getting help. We heard a lot of positive announcements from the outside that they were getting some more investors. There's some more other people coming in, helping them out financially. They are still cautioning everyone and letting everyone know there is still a chance that they will not be able to pay everyone back, and it could cause a really shaky and rocky market. So, because of that, right around 7 hours ago is when our bullish patterns that were based off technicals began to fail and emotions took over. And when emotions take over, a lot of times you lose out on the technicals and then just people's decision of do I hold or do I sell kicks in. And that's why I always say technical analysis alone is not enough. It's really good for looking for an entry, but it does not tell you enough about whether or not it's a great, if we're going to be bullish for the next couple months or bearish for the next couple months. The only thing that's going to tell you that is by taking in as much information as you can about the current situations, maybe what the future is going to hold, and then combining that with technical analysis, looking for patterns to make a good entry. That's really where technicals come in, not for predicting the future world events. So on top of that, there was also, I believe there was one more thing, or maybe that was the main thing. Yeah, I think that was. So that was pretty much it. Now, just depending on how much people really care about that, there could be a scenario where we just bounce out of here, or we continue to sell off and then sell off some more. Unless Evergrande gets confirmation that it's going under and that people are not going to get paid back, I do not think we're going to end up selling off really below 50,000 and holding under 50,000. If we do a little dip to 49 something, not concerned about that. If we start getting comfortable with 48, 47, 46, I would genuinely be surprised. All right. Wait, what is that? Oh, that's the end of the song. Okay. I would genuinely be surprised if you're just wondering what my opinion is. Unless we get confirmation from them that they are done for, I don't think the FUD's going to be strong enough to push us under that $50,000 support line on Bitcoin. All right. So that being said, this is around the time where I would be considering finding an entry, starting to scale in a little bit. If I'm completely on the sidelines right now and I have no position in Dogecoin, no position in Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency that I'm interested in, Bitcoin even, that's affected by this move, that's down 10, 15%, I would be looking to start scaling in. Now, because there's not much more room down to the main support level, we may not even get a touch down there. And if we do, maybe you just buy some more and wait to see if there's a bounce, and then you buy even more later. But now is there was a chance there that we were not even going to see Dogecoin 19 or 20 again, and some people started to panic. So please, again, I always have to make these reminders. Take advantage of the situations when they come to you. Don't say, oh, I'm going to buy if this happens. You see the opportunity come, you freak yourself out, and you don't do anything at all. And then you watch the opportunity leave you and then say, oh man, I should have bought. You'll never make money that way. That's why what I always said, especially towards the beginning of when I started these streams and I was teaching everybody how to trade properly, how to make wise decisions. It's plan your trade in advance. Consider the possible down or negative scenarios so that when they come, you don't get spooked. But have a plan for that too. Well, if we hit my price target and I hear bad news, I'm going to wait for this and then I'm going to do this. But if we don't get bad news and it hits my price target, I'm going to follow my plan for it hitting my price target and do this. You should always have that planned out. And that way the time comes, you get thrown a curveball, you already planned for the curveball, so you're not even surprised and you can trade properly. So here we are, Dogecoin 1967. As you guys can see, this box has been here for a couple weeks now, maybe even a month. This is my Dogecoin dip zone. If you're looking at me, or if you're asking me when to buy Dogecoin, I am always going to say, and I have said for the last couple months, Dogecoin 19 cents is a dream, but really anywhere under 25 cents, I feel pretty good about having a position. The higher we are above 25 cents, I already know if worse comes to worse. I feel like Doge is worth 20 to 25 cents if we never got another catalyst. If Doge was just a meme project, never got accepted by Elon because he changed his mind, and adoption completely halted today, I still feel like a Dogecoin would be worth somewhere around a quarter. That's why I say, playing it safe, I would love to get Doge under 25 cents. That way, if everything goes down the drain and we never get what we think we're going to get, just being honest and realistic, I really won't have anything to worry about. Maybe Doge goes down 5 cents and I lost 10% on my investment. And then I go ahead and go jump into something else if we get confirmation it's never going to go anywhere. But the further we are away from that worst case scenario value, the more overextended you become, and you have to kind of hope and rely on other people and catalysts. So that being said, while we're at these prices, why not take an extremely low risk buy? and assume a position. And anywhere under 20, like 22 cents, I really feel good about the purchase, no matter what happens next. Don't forget, guys, this is not me saying this because of the scenario that we're in right now. If you guys are not new to the channel, you know that when we were crashed down here, this was still my dip zone. I was still saying I would recommend buying at 19 to 20 cents, and that 16 was the real money spot. If you could buy, and I encouraged everyone, buy at 16, buy at 16, buy at 17, and even buy at 18 and 19 and 20. All right, and then what happened? As soon as we cleared 21, my dip zone here, as soon as we cleared 21 and went up to 22, it was too late. We spiked all the way up to 28, pulled back to 23, and then ran up to 36. That means if you had listened to some advice and followed it and bought at 16 or even 17, maybe even 18, and sold up here, you would have doubled your money. And this is just, it's not, me being anything special. It's just analyzing the social sentiment, looking at the chart, and really just understanding from an unbiased and emotionally withdrawn point of view what's going to be the smartest move to take. Whether or not it works out or not, you can at least look back and say, well, I traded that the smartest way that I could. It was the smartest play. I went ahead and executed on it because it was the smartest thing to do. And if it doesn't work out, there was no smarter play to make. So you can't be mad at yourself. Just say, all right, well, next time, surely I'll get it. If you keep doing things the right way, eventually you're going to succeed. And you'll also lose very little when you're wrong, because you'll be losing the right way as well, the smart way. So 16 cents, money zone. If you can get it again, cool. Do I want us to go back down to 16 cents? No, not necessarily. I'm perfectly happy with buying Doge at 19 and 20 cents and then us getting to $1 one day and us being up 5x. That would be great. I don't need 16 cents. But again, just like when this happened to us in, what was that, July? Just like when it happened then, I am not against it. And if it happens, I will surely buy the dip. And I would encourage everyone else to buy the dip as well. Now, that being said, Doge could get pretty close to 16 cents if Bitcoin decides it's going to fail here. Now, the reason I'm saying that is just historically, and most of you guys are not new to this stream. If you are, please subscribe. We'd love to see you guys in the next stream. And of course, click the like button for fun times. Most of you guys know that when Bitcoin moves as the market leader, the altcoins tend to follow. The rate at which the altcoins are going to follow the market leader is all dependent on how people feel about the market, how they feel about the move, whether they think it's a fake move or if they're actually in panic mode or super excited mode. And then in contrast, how they feel about that specific coin. So a lot of times what we see, Bitcoin dumps in one day from 60,000 to 50,000, right? Massive move. None of the other coins move at all. Why is that? Because most people are convinced it's just manipulation and that it's going to bounce right back. And they don't see any reason to sell. They're not worried. That's what usually ends up happening. Now, if you see the altcoins, Bitcoin dumps from 60 to 50, and then the altcoins dump from like $1 to 50 cents because of that, and following it pattern for pattern, time frame for time frame, that probably means that people are genuinely freaked out and they think that crypto's done, and as a whole, the majority. And so then people overreact. So you can gauge social sentiment by just looking at Bitcoin's percentage moves compared to the altcoins percentage moves, and then see, are the altcoins reacting more or less? And that will tell you how confident people are feeling in the actual move that's happening on Bitcoin. Pretty easy gauge if you ever don't have time to live stream, or watch a live stream rather. At this moment in time, that being said, Bitcoin fell all the way down to 51,000. Please keep in mind that Bitcoin started today at around 58,000. If we go ahead and take a look at Dogecoin here, Dogecoin started the day at about 22 cents. I want to make sure I'm not going back too far. Okay, so no, it was actually somewhere closer to about 21.5 cents, 21 cents. And when Bitcoin fell, that massive percentage down, Dogecoin only went down to 19. So percentage for percentage, it was pretty close, but Dogecoin did not overreact. So 58 to 52 or 51 is a little over 10%, whereas 21 to 19 is 10%. So Dogecoin actually reacted a little bit less. It did follow the move down, but it did not go down quite as drastically. Now, if it did go down a little bit more, if people were genuinely freaked out and they said, oh, well, this much must be it for Dogecoin, I'm going to go ahead and sell. If that did happen, Dogecoin probably would have fell to about 18 cents off that move. And then if it went down to 50K, we would have been seeing a 16 cent Doge, somewhere near that. Instead, the way that it's looking, now Bitcoin's back up to 53. And Dogecoin's still hanging out here at near 20 cents, which is not very far from where it fell from. So that's actually pretty good. So I feel like if Bitcoin does hit that worst case scenario price target of 50K and bounce, that Doge will not actually be that cheap. Doge will be somewhere around 18 cents, and maybe a dip into the 17s is going to be about the lowest that we can get it, unless something terrible happens on top of what we already saw with Evergrande today, and then Bitcoin legitimately crashes the entire market again. And as bullish as I like to be, I'm always going to be realistic and say I strongly doubt something like that is going to happen. But at the same time, people strongly doubted that a lot of these moves were going to happen that Bitcoin did. I'm sure there were a lot of people laughing at bears when we were sitting up here and Bitcoin looked like it was on track for 100K last year. I'm sure, or very, very early in the year. I'm sure a lot of people were laughing at the bears here, and then we had a massive market crash where Bitcoin went under 30,000. I'm sure a lot of people were laughing at the bears here, and then we fell down from 42 down to 28 again, 29, and I'm sure people were laughing at the bears right here, and I know for a fact they were, when we made this big recovery and it looked like we were heading right back to the moon, and then we sold off from 53 all the way back down to the low 40s. All right, so all this proves is that nobody's a prophet. We can all be right sometimes, but then also we can also all be wrong despite how bullish or bearish we want to feel. So that's why I personally come in with as unbiased as possible. And I'm just saying, very unlikely we fall below 50K, but just like we've seen before, it is possible if you get enough bad news and enough people panic, enough people get liquidated, their bank accounts get messed up, and they can't buy the dip like they would have, especially when people are over leveraged. So it is very possible. That being said, though, I'm still bullish. Another thing I want to mention is, though we did not hold up, obviously, with the bullish flag here, that failed off the Evergrande news, as well as the inverse head and shoulders, we are actually still doing all right when it comes to the descending broadening wedge. So I'm just going to go ahead and map that out for you guys, and I'll get the music back. Let's go here. All right, we are still following the descending broadening wedge just fine. Just draw some lines here. As you can see, there's the general idea. So you can see here it was a little narrow, and here it is widening. We are descending in a downtrend. We started from a tighter form here, and it's starting to widen as it goes. So that pattern has still held. And it's just going to be up to how people are feeling at this moment to really see if we're going to hold this bottom here and move back up and break above, or if the next technical pattern will fail. But usually this is a bullish pattern. I actually said on the live stream on Wednesday, if you were there, that there was a chance that we did not actually break out here, but we did one more deep pullback to around the 51,000 level, or even waited a little bit longer, but obviously we didn't. If we didn't get bad news, this would have been drawn out over a couple days and got a clean bounce off the trend support line and the 50-ish thousand support, and then that was the last bounce, and then we took off. So this move actually is not surprising, and what's good about it is that despite the fact that it was a major sell-off, we didn't break the trend line at all. So how neat is that? And that is most likely why that ended up being the dip buy spot. So now hopefully things are making a little more sense to you guys about why we stopped at the most random spot possible, 51,617. All right, and that is because it was actually the descending trend line on the bottom side of this consolidation here, and people saw it. That mapped out their charts. And so they anticipated it would slow down there. Everyone anticipated the same thing, so everyone bought, and they kind of spoke it into existence there as a group. Now, if just to kind of talk to that point, if we were to just put a horizontal line here, And let's just look to the left, see if there was really any strong support at that level as well. There's a chance there was. And definitely not strong. What I can see is one touch here, which made we have a little resistance in between, and a little support off that little one wick, but there's nothing else. And so that honestly was one of the weakest levels that we've seen in a while. So they were most likely looking at this and not so much caring about that horizontal. That's not a good support or resistance horizontally. So that is positive. Now, I will say, this is what I also mentioned in the Discord group to Art with me. He had some questions about just potential buy-in spots, and I was just kind of play-by-playing what was going on. And maybe I'll just show you guys what I said here, just to kind of explain the idea of why I still think, I think we're near the bottom, but there's still a chance that there could be another pullback to 50K. And what I'll do for that is flip the EMAs back on so you can see it a little clearer. See it a little clearer what I'm talking about. And as you can see on the upside, guys, it's actually using this kind of general area. This 50 EMA is kind of acting as the resistance. So it all makes sense. All right. Let's just take a look at this really quick so you just see I'm not really making this up. I just let them know that on the sell-off, the 200 EMA was at 50K, so I didn't think people were too concerned, even though we dumped pretty hard. Everybody should have seen, if they were technical people, strong support at 50K, 200 EMA is also at 50K, so there's probably no real reason to panic hard and just everybody sell off, because even if we do dump hard, a great buy spot's 50K, so you can expect that there's going to be a bounce there at the very least, and then you can decide what to do. So no reason to panic. And then at 54K on the way back up is usually where I would think to add. But honestly, Doge 19, I'm always buying if I get the chance. Doesn't really matter which way we're going. On top of that, what I said here was the potential reason why we could see a slightly bearish continuation before we get a strong bounce. I said the problem is that off the bounce, people bought too early, and that doesn't usually go well historically. You generally want a full dump down to or a little bit past the main support line so that everyone has a convincingly good buying spot. When that happens and the bounce is when what happens today happens and the bounce is at a random spot and not the support line, not everyone buys in because they're not really seeing a great entry. And so you have weak buying pressure. Then generally what you end up with is a really weak bounce where it goes up, but then it falls right back down because not enough people were convinced to buy. They didn't all see it as a great support to buy at. And so at that point, the ambitious early dip buyers panic when they see it going back down, like, oh man, maybe that wasn't the bottom, especially when it comes back to the price that they bought at. And so they sell again. And then you have continued selling pressure from all the people that were bearish. And then you have additional selling pressure by the new bearish people that are going to go short. And then you have selling pressure from the people that ambitiously bought that dip and made it bounce and realized that was the wrong time to buy. And so what ends up happening is now everybody's selling, nobody's convinced, and then you get the actual sell-off below support. So it ends up making the support line fail at the end of the day because they bought at the wrong time. Then it just had a snowball effect, sent all the wrong signals, and then everybody panics. And on the sell-off, since everyone's selling so hard, there's so much pressure that it doesn't stop at support, which makes more people panic, which triggers more stop losses. And then people that were over leveraged thinking it would never go below 50K get liquidated, causes more of a sell-off, and then you get the chain effect where more liquidation happens because of liquidations, more stop losses triggered because of stop losses, and just continuous buildup of selling pressure. And that usually causes a big, what people would call, instead of just a dump or a sell-off, they would call it a crash. And so for that reason, generally, this is not really what I want to see. If we're going to sell off, you know what I mean? If we're going to fall below the 53K support line and people not be able to hold, if we're going to have candles closing below 53K, what I want to see in order to feel confident, just putting myself in the general public shoes, is this. And if we're going to fail, then fail the right way and go all the way down to the 200 EMA line, and the 50K level, where everyone's going to look at that and say, that's probably a good dip buy spot. So that then you get strong buying pressure at the same time, and it's enough to actually get you out of the hole. Because instead, what we have is people that maybe didn't chart their chart out the same way and weren't looking at this trend line and are confused by the bounce at $51,617.19. Like, what kind of number is that? And now they have no idea what's going on, and they're just kind of on the edge and waiting to see what's going to happen and hoping we hold. But as you can see, there is not a lot of buying pressure right here. Look at this selling candle and compare it to this candle right here. This candle has a very tight range of 59,600 and a high of 53,800. And this is on a daily candle here. It's been going for hours, and there's not much movement. So as you can see, people are confused and concerned, and that's what I'm talking about. So what we could end up seeing because of that, and I'm just, obviously I'm not a bear, and I have some bullish sentiment, but I am going to be realistic and plot both angles, that this is what we could see instead. Something like this. All right, it's just going to delete my line. All right, well, let's get rid of that one. Maybe it didn't like that. We could see something like that, and maybe some more activity, and then the massive spike up. This, I would not be surprised if we saw this. And what this actually allows is this dead bounce to happen. People not still, the people that aren't convinced, they're still not convinced. So then this kind of turns into weak selling pressure, stronger selling pressure, especially as we pass support here. We just flush all that out, get it over with, and dump down to the 50,000 level, where we have support horizontally, support mentally at a main number, and support from the 200 EMA. A great buying spot for everyone. No one's going to question it unless they don't know what they're doing at all. And then we get a bounce back up to here, some more selling at the previous high, and then a pullback to the previous low. And now you have an inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Everyone's going to feel good that didn't buy here because they were concerned about buying at this next pullback, which is their second chance. It's at support. They see the inverse head and shoulder signal, and that is also bullish for a buy signal. So then you see a massive takeoff, one more pullback, and then what you're doing is also playing out the typical bowl shape reversal pattern that I was talking about on Wednesday, where you kind of get this general idea, and then it spikes back up to where it came from as soon as it crosses over like the previous high from when it came down. Hopefully you guys are following. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. It's a little ugly, but you get the idea. That shouldn't be quite so far out. And this should really kind of be over here. It was just too ugly to leave, guys. Couldn't do it. Whoops. Computer froze there for a second. I panicked. All right. All right. So let me get to a couple of your comments, and then if no one else has any questions, I mean, we could probably wrap up, but I'm sure there's a few. Scott F says, well, that kind of explains why there was a huge sell-off today by large investor CEOs, et cetera, et cetera. Can't wait to see what the stock market's like Monday. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if anybody's invested that isn't 100% feeling confident in cryptocurrency and they were kind of new to the space, especially if they had a lot invested, hearing that, knowing that Evergrande is one of the things that crashed the crypto market recently, knowing that, and then seeing them say in a warning message to everyone that, hey, just to let everyone know, we may not, just letting you know directly, we still may not be able to pay our investors back, and we recommend you invest in us with caution. I would probably sell too if I had a whole lot of money in, because that is a little bit scary. You know, because why? Basically, the big money people never really want to be the lab experiments. They don't want to be the lab rats. They're the type of people that already have it, so they'd rather just protect it. They'd rather hold on to company stock and just not sell it, let it accumulate, or they'd rather throw it into an ETF and just see 4% gains on their hundreds of thousands of dollars per year or millions of dollars per year. So taking a chance going into crypto and then seeing the Evergrande letter, I'd probably sell too if I was a whale. That being said, from a realistic perspective, not, actually knowing what I'm looking at, knowing what I'm talking about, not just being a speculative investor, I would expect this to be the play, and especially not being all in with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, I'm not exposed to that kind of risk either, so I don't feel the same way. And I'm more of a trader, so if I realize that things are going south, I'm just going to sell. I don't have to hodl forever. What's going on, Preezy? How's it going? Byron, Travis, Kelp Stash, what's going on? Been a minute, man. Good to see you. Anna Rott, how's it going? How's it going, Rick? And what's up, Branson? Good to see a lot of some of the names I haven't seen in a minute. Hope everybody's having a good evening. Byron says you are so good at this. Thank you. Appreciate it, Byron. Hey, man, I've been looking for that pattern since you brought it up. It seems to play out on other time frames as well. Yep. It is looking like it wants to play out. At the same time, like I said, guys, the technicals are only as important as the actual news allows it to be. Because at the end of the day, emotions is what drives most people to buy or sell, not technicals. So we can have all the technical patterns in the world. We had 1.6 million people following Plan B who said it's going to hit 98K by the end of the month. And all that ended up happening was there was some FUD spread in the crypto market, caused a sell-off. People lost faith in it, even though we haven't missed a month of that projection for like 8 years. It's been on track for that long. And people were willing to ignore the technicals because they felt some kind of negative way about what direction the price was going to go. Just based off of emotion because of FUD. That's all it takes. So technical analysis is great if there's a fair, level, even playing field. That it lets you know which direction we're probably going to trend in next. But news can accelerate that in either direction, whether that's going along with the technicals or if that's breaking the pattern of the technicals and going to cause us to start forming a different pattern instead. So that's why I really am not a fan of the technical only channels or the fundamental only channels, because they don't consider all things. And it's more to trading and crypto than just looking at one thing and then just saying, well, this says that. You have to combine all the knowledge you can. That will help you make the best decision. Hey, thank you, Kelp. Same back to you, man. Yeah, I had a pretty good break. Any questions from anybody? Quiet stream, but I know I've been talking for a minute, so maybe I covered it all. And it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to head and shoulders out of here, guys. I'm just drawing out an example. But overall, I hope you get the idea of really what I'm saying. There's a high chance, because we didn't get a clean bounce off the main support line. We didn't touch the 200 EMA, which is always the touch that you want, especially on the 4-hour or daily time frame. There's a high chance that not enough people are feeling convinced to buy yet. There's a little bit of holding pressure, but as you can see, we keep getting stuck under 53,000. So we could end up just selling off a bit, getting the actual flush down to 51. Maybe we peak a little bit below. That happens a lot. A little bit of a bearish fake out. And then it gets bought up. One more pullback and just an overall bullish uptrend from there. However, that's going to play out with the ups and downs. This is just a mental assist. You know what I'm trying to say. It's to assist. You get the mental picture. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I won't take too much of your time. I know it's late. Thank you all for hanging out this late. It's about 10 o'clock, so I will go ahead and kind of get started wrapping up the stream. What's going on with Dogecoin? Dogecoin's in a very, very good spot right now. I would recommend, I really almost bought a whole lot more today, but 19 cents is the money zone in my opinion. There's 3 spots, what I mentioned to everybody earlier, 3 spots where I always want to buy Doge. It's 16 cents if the opportunity arises, but I'm not going to wait for it. But if it comes to me, I'll do it. 16 or 17. All right. And then there's 19 to 20. Ideally 19. There's just something about buying in the teens that just makes me feel way better. That's me personally. 16, 19, and then in general, just under 25. And right now we got the chance here at 19. I would feel like I want to buy some at 19 here, no matter what's going to happen, even if we go down. And that just means invest wisely. Do not go 100% all in. There's never a reason to do that if you're actually bullish on the project. Scale in, let the price action start to prove stuff to you, and buy in at certain levels. Add to your position at levels. So maybe you go in 10 to 20% here, or 30%. Save a good chunk of it in case we go to 16, go in another 10 to 20 or 30%, and then you, by that time, hopefully have a couple more paychecks along with the money that you still had on the sidelines to, if something crazy happens, dump the rest in at the bottom, and then your average is going to be somewhere like here, which is still going to be good because by the time we normalize, then you've made like double your money. Like, it's pretty fail-proof. The only way you really lose is if you go all in, because then you're just gambling it. You introduce excessive emotions, and then you start making dumb decisions, and next thing you know, you bought here and then you sold here, but this was actually the support, so then it bounces, and then you rebuy in here, it does another pullback, and so you sell on the pullback, and then it takes off, and everyone else has tripled their money, and somehow you're down and you only have 25% of the money you started with. So always good to keep it calm. But where can it go up to again? Yeah, absolutely. So 19 cents, good bounce point here. Potential is going to be pretty easily going up to 24, 25 cents short term. Ideally, what I'm looking for is the catalyst to come along. What I talked about on Wednesday, we got confirmation from Robinhood's COO, the one that's on the crypto side, that Robinhood wallets are coming Q1 2022. That's when we should expect it, as long as you've at least joined the waitlist. I'm pretty sure they'll target like the first 500K to start with, and then maybe the first 100K, then 500, then the first million, and then everybody else. But most of us are on that wait list. So Robinhood wallets will be coming to most people in the first quarter of 2022. That means that Dogecoin is going to start to see an uptrend heading into Q1. And then also I'd expect Dogecoin for Tesla to go live sometime around or by then. And so the combination of those two things can get us way out of this general area, and we could really see ourselves up here in this area. Like, this could be the bottom, and then we make a curl back up at 40, 50, 60 cents and sitting stable there. Now, I don't recommend that Dogecoin be your only investment. There's plenty of other things that are moving. I would diversify into other things like ETH, maybe buy some ADA at these crazy dips right now. What's it sitting at right now? Is it still at 160s? It's actually 151. That's such a good price. And then Ethereum pulled back pretty hard today to almost under 3. I mean, back into 3s, under 4. That's insane. So that's a pretty good dip. There's other things to buy, basically is what I'm saying, but Doge is usually what I talk about. Should you always sell it when it drops a bit? No. Usually you should buy when it drops a bit. I would recommend buying and holding it till then. Now, there are certain times where maybe you don't have a good average price where you entered, and I'd say, you know, buy it at 22, look for a sell at 30, and then you could buy it on a pullback. But if you can really buy it cheap, like 19 or 16 cents, sometimes it just makes more sense because you have such a good average to just take, and you know there's a very low chance it's ever going to sell off and come back down to you to where you feel like you have to make another decision and panic sell or something. Buy it at the discount and just hold it, wait for the big move. Like here, what I recommended to everybody was buy the 16 cents, especially when we got this dip here and then we got a little bit more of a pullback. Buy 16, 17. That way you can sit back, and then when we're at 30s again, you'll have doubled your money, and you can decide, do I want to sell and double my money now? Or are we about to get another big announcement and maybe this is just worth holding, so instead of doubling, I'll triple or quadruple. And that is just all in your hands. So if you're buying this cheap, usually my move is going to be more of a long hold, because if you can long hold at this price, you can literally buy it now, close your app for 2 months, come back, and you'll probably have doubled or tripled your money. So in my opinion, it's just better to not mess up your average because really your average doesn't matter so much. A lot of people overreact to their average price. It really just matters mentally, because what is your average price compared to where does the price tend to hover? And if your average is right where the price tends to hover, you're going to be panicking a lot. Like, am I in the red today? Am I in the green? But if you can buy and hold super cheap, then you'll never have to panic. It's a great holding investing spot long term. No problem, Byron. And yeah, there's plenty of other things that can shoot to the moon easily. That's why I recommend put some in Doge if you feel good about Dogecoin. I do. I would buy it, but I am by no means Dogecoin only. I used to be when there was a lot going on, but I think, I mean, it's pretty... I'm not for pushing, especially like gimmick coins or anything like that, but it is worth to also have some money set aside to diversify your portfolio. That is always the recommendation. So look for some other opportunities as well. But as far as the top 10 more stable projects are concerned that aren't a gamble, I like Doge, I like ADA, and I have some interest in ETH as well. And then that's my main investments, and then my riskier, maybe they'll work out, maybe they won't, but I'm only going to throw like $100 or $1,000 here and there every once in a while. That's when I get into some of the weirder lower cap coins. And I'd recommend that too. Yeah, no problem. Skydive, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Is Shiba Inu any good? Shiba Inu is very extended. I would say if you want to do a long-term hold on SHIB, I would maybe buy some. I do still have some concerns about the coin. Now, I did mention before SHIB did the 10x move that it was probably a good time to buy and hold because they had a lot of stuff in the pipeline, including getting relisted on Coinbase and potential Robinhood announcement. And I didn't think it was going to make the price 10x. I did expect like a 3 to 5x, or at the very least like a 30 to 50% move. So that was that. Now SHIB has gotten up so high to where it's in the top 15 market cap of all coins and all projects. And the thing is, SHIB doesn't really have, I mean, it has some catalysts coming, but those catalysts, how much is it really going to move the needle? The things it doesn't have right now that are going to come to SHIB, how much weight does it actually hold? SHIB is already getting a lot of good announcements. It's getting more people are accepting it as payment now, and it's already gaining traction, but the price isn't really moving. I think the real thing that's going to move the price is what made it move the first time, which was SHIB coming to Robinhood, especially as Robinhood starts doing the wallet thing, because that's a whole big deal. But according to Robinhood recently, they are not looking into rushing into listing any of the riskier coins that they're not sure about, and that was in direct response to a question about Shiba Inu. So I think that is going to really hold it back for a while until they get good news about Robinhood again. So maybe SHIB can go to 5, maybe it can go 5,500 or 6, but in my opinion, that's not enough of a move for me to feel super comfortable buying it at 4. Now, if it's at like 35 or 3, I would probably buy some. But right now, it's at a really awkward middle point where I think it's like middle high, and I'm just not excited enough about it to take that risk. I'd feel better with Dogecoin because at least it's at a obviously observed support. But buying SHIB right now would be like buying Dogecoin at like 26, 27, 28 cents. It's not a terrible idea, but I just wouldn't recommend it without a strong catalyst in the pipeline because you're not near support. That's how I feel about it. If I were to do technicals on it though, yeah, I'd much rather buy, like I said, 35. That's actually the support line. That would make me feel good. Here's not bad, especially now that we're under 4. But buying up here near 45, 5 and higher, I don't know. I don't think I feel it. Best case scenario would be if we could get a massive sell-off to like 25, under 3,000, that I would probably buy SHIB. Then you're near the daily 200 EMA line. Actually, some bad news is that SHIB crossed below the 4-hour time frame's 200 EMA line, so it's on the bearish side technically. So probably not the best time to buy until it starts to head up. Alrighty, guys, that's gonna do it for today. I'll save a little bit, leave a little in the tank for the next stream, which should be on Monday if the market is the least bit interesting. I, of course, don't want to go live if I don't have anything to talk about and bore you guys. So thank you all for hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not. If you're new to the channel, would love to